Baseball family, welcome back. This week we're going to talk Twins, City Connect uniforms, player polls, and emoji tiers right now. 9 Plus Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Welcome back, baseball family, to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I'm Brig, and my co-host, Mr. Brad Man, is here with me. How are you, Brad?
I'm good, Brig. I'm surviving the heat, but I'm good. I'm here. How are you? You had a long week and a half.
Oh man,
you're back.
It was long. It was so long. It was really great, but it was really long. Emotionally exhausted, physically beat up, intellectually exhausted for whatever it's worth. I do have some intellect, very little, but it's there. And I burned all of those. I burned all the gas that was in those intellectual cells. Oh man, thanks for asking though. It was great. And I have some big news. I have a story being published in a magazine or journal, whatever you want to call it, called the Under Review. And I will let you know as soon as it's out. It is a baseball story. So
Yes,
my first baseball story is being published, and I'm very excited about it. So
very excited.
I'll let everybody know the Under Review. It's out of Minnesota. Speaking of Minnesota, we're going to get into them today. So let's jump in and talk about them. But before we do, we want to let everybody know that we have a merch store again. It's the first time in a long time. But it is hosted through Millions. And what you can do is you can scan that QR code on the screen, or you can hit the link in the description and it'll take you right there. And we do have a few shirts and some stickers right now. We're going to have more stuff that's going to drop periodically. And if you're watching on a desktop or a TV screen, like I said, scan that QR code or just hit the description. It'll take you right there. And you can check out some of the stuff we've got. That's one of the ways you can support the show. There are others, and we'll tell you about those as the episode progresses. Now, the Twins have unveiled their City Connect uniforms. Should we get into the details and then give first impressions? I think that's what we're going to do. So, Brad...
Yeah, let's go through it.
Yeah, why don't you take us kind of through the images, and I will read off what the Twins are saying about this particular uniform. How about that?
All right, let's start here with this look right here.
Oh, my.
We'll call it belt up.
Belt up. So what you see is we obviously got a royal blue base color with shades of blue and intersecting.
Oh, they're calling
vectors.
it azure, Brig.
Azure blue. Thank you, Brad.
Of course, it's obviously azure.
Bien sûr, my friend.
Silly.
Or I should say, mon frère. Yes. Allow me to put my nose right back in the air. Okay, ripple effect. They're calling this vectored pattern across their jersey the ripple effect. The whole thing is a nod to the land of 1,000 lakes.
10,
there
000.
Are blue.
Don't short those other 9,000 lakes.
Oh my word! I can read. Land of 10,000 lakes. I knew this. I'm going to apologize to Jeff and Sheila, who are also in Minnesota right now and probably cursing me. Okay. Blue sublimation pattern is meant to represent water, as you can see. I called it vector, but they're going to call it sublimation, which is just fine. The MN on their chest is with a star. MN is obviously Minnesota, and the North Star State is what it's referred to. So, the North Star State, Minnesota's abbreviation, bada bing. That's what you get. Now, tell us to the patch on the arm, Brad. Do we have a patch on the arm? There it is. The patch on the arm is a loon, which is a bird for those of us.
The loons, Marvin, the loons.
It's a loon flying over a lake. The eyes are baseball stitching. The beak is the North Star.
So this is funny, Rick, because it took me way longer than it should have to see what was going on here. Because the loon has like that mohawk thing going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the beak. I thought the North Star was the back of the head. I thought the wings were like kind of like in a delta shape, and it was flying up the arm. Yeah. When I read that the star is supposed to be the beak and the stitching is the eyes, I was like, I don't see it. And then finally I was like, oh, it's coming at me.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So that took me way longer than it should have, and I was a little bit embarrassed by it.
Well, don't worry. Perspective is a very difficult thing to achieve in life at all, he said philosophically, which is an adverb. I shouldn't use those. Okay, so blue pants. Show us the blue pants. The blue
So
pants
I
with
had one. I had a full body shot here, but I don't
all
have the
right.
blue pants very well. You can see them a little bit here.
Yeah, they're
Not
in
really
there.
though.
But they're that same. Let's call them azure blue this time. Does that sound good to you, Brad? Should we call them azure
Yep,
blue?
that works. And the
Blue
powers that
pants,
be.
yellow, black, and white piping. And they say there's some pink in there, but I don't see it. Although if you go back to the arm patch, I did see pink there. So it's yellow on the one arcing curve,
Just barely.
and it
Yeah, they say
looks
that they
like pink.
included pink because it's supposed to be like that. The pink is supposed to be part of a sunset. They're like, because you get some
Aha.
pink in there at those sunsets. Like, well, yeah, of course you
Yeah,
do.
there you
And so
go.
it's very subtle. Very subtle.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. I
Yeah.
don't hate that.
Yeah.
Okay, the yellow throughout represents the sun reflecting on water. That makes sense. I like that. And
Yeah.
then the cap has a blue crown with a yellow visor. And then the Minnesota State silhouette or outline is on the front, and it has more of those striations or vectors or whatever we're going to call them.
Yeah, I feel like it does look more wavy on the hat,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it does. Certainly at the bottom, I can see the waves in the bottom of the outline. I wonder what's at the top. Is that more like a sea spray
It's
or a rock
I think it's more water just coming down from the top.
coming down? Okay.
Yeah. Just like the ebb and the flow of the waves as
Yeah.
they go up on the shore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like it. Well, on the right side of the cap, you'll see 10,000 lakes, which is 1 0 more than what I was giving them earlier. And the undervisor has a depth map. It looks like a topographical map, but this is what you would use for bodies of
The
water rather than
topographical,
land.
remember, Brig, is on land.
That's what I
Yes.
just
The
said instead
depth
of
map,
land.
yeah,
Yes,
is
Brad.
for a
I was
lake
saying
or other
this.
body of water.
Brad is our resident mariner, and that's just
It's
not just because it's his
in
birthday.
more ways than one,
Correct.
actually.
Yes, sir. So the undervisor has the depth map of Lake Minnetonka, and that's a nod to Prince's movie Purple Rain. Purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka is the quote.
Just my favorite line from Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Story where he plays basketball against Prince. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Prince, it's so hot out here. You need a towel or something? Why don't you purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka? It's so good.
Oh my word. All right, so here on the inside of the laundry tag, inside the collar, is again the outline of the state of Minnesota with the what
The
do you
North
call
Star.
it? The North Star, thank you, in yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then again above the jock tag, we have 10,000 lakes.
Placeholders,
Why is
Brig.
it so hard? Why is it so hard for me?
Place values, I should say. Know your place
Place
values.
values. I should know my place values. Okay. The end. The end.
So
Brig says.
So what do you think? What do you think about these, Brig? That's what I want to know.
I like them. I think they're actually really clean. They're loud, they're bold, but they're not overstated. I love the yellow. The yellow off the blue always looks good, but I like that it's not a singular use of blue. There's nothing flat and boring and monotonous about it. It has a ton of character. It has a ton of you know, it's the thing. It feels light and friendly in appearance, which I know is not what you want with competitive sports, obviously. But again, we know this is meant to be out on streets more than it's meant to be out on the field. And so, as such, the people I know that are from Minnesota and the Twin Cities and anywhere around there, they're lovely. They're friendly. They're kind and warm and generous. And I'm not just saying that because I was hanging out with some of them for the last 10 days, although I was. But I genuinely feel that way. I've always felt that way. And so I think that this represents at least my opinion of people from that area. I wonder if it represents their opinion of themselves. I think it does. But so I like that light, friendly, you know, steady kind of thing that it's exuding without maybe even trying to. I don't know.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I think it looks good. It's a break from the black that we've seen so much this year, right? All the
Yeah.
dark colors, and which, don't get me wrong, I love to wear black as much as the next person, but at the same time though, like, it was getting monotonous, it was getting boring. And this, I look at this, like, I love
Yeah.
the look of what they're calling the sublimation, and the way that it looks like water on the jersey. And I can't
Yeah.
remember if I said that I wanted the Land of 10,000 Lakes,
One
right?
of
When
us
we
did.
talked about this
I don't
beginning of the
remember. It
season.
might have been you. Yeah.
But I think it looks really good. I like the yellow. The yellow is so good with the blue. As a Mariners fan, obviously, I'm going to be a little bit more biased to that, but
Yeah.
that's just the way it goes. And this specifically, Lake Minnetonka, like I said, that is one of my absolute favorite Chappelle Show sketches, and I've seen them all.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding when I say that. That a reference just to that line. I know it's from the movie, but the line in Chappelle Show was a reference to the movie too, and that's how I know it and why I love it so much, because
Interesting.
it's fantastic.
Okay, one last thing I'm going to add to this. We always
What's
got to
that?
look at the city flag and see what they're doing with the city flag. And the city flags of both St. Paul and Minneapolis feature that same blue, or damn near that same
Mm-hmm.
blue. And then the
Yeah,
yellow is on the St. Paul city flag.
nice.
He pulled it
Yeah,
right
that's
off.
funny because I didn't see any reference to either of those in anything that I was reading today. In fact, UniWatch called it a state connect, not a city connect, because it's
Well,
focused on Minnesota and not just Minneapolis or St. Paul.
yeah, well, I think they nailed it with this. And I think that
Hmm.
the two cities having such social disputes over the last however many gazillion years, and there's sort of a feeling of we're better than you on both sides. I think that you can't really pick one in
Yeah,
this situation. So I think they nailed it, and they're going to appeal to
just go with the
both
whole state.
purchasing powers, bodies of purchasing power, or whatever we're calling it. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it. I think it looks really good. It is one. If I was a Twins fan, I would buy it as soon as I could. Just like I bought the
yeah,
Mariners. Like, I
yeah,
love the blue and the black and the yellow. The Mariners, I'd love the blue and the yellow with this one.
yeah. It's
So,
fabulous. Overall, it's wonderful. I agree.
mhm.
All right, let's talk about the London series, because it was what the London series was supposed to be. Let's be honest. It's what they was supposed
There's
to be.
always really good games over there, and I don't know if it's because of the jet lag or just they're amped up for the series.
I don't
But
know.
for whatever reason, there are typically really good games over there,
Yeah,
and I love it.
yeah,
Here
I
for it.
agree. So Philly won game one, 7-2, and they're always high scoring games. You notice that? Philly won game one,
Mhm.
7-2. Bryce Harper homered, and then slid into the dugout like a football player, like real football, not American football.
A footballer, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
footballer. Thanks. Not a football player. I guess that is technically the difference, is it not? Is it
It
not,
is the
Brad?
difference. You're right. It is the difference. Chap. Jay, how about
Mm,
that?
mm.
Spotted tea. Yes, very
Ooh,
good.
we've been watching way too much Ted Lasso. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then,
Well, hold on, real quick. I thought
okay,
that
go ahead.
was absolutely appropriate that Bryce
Yeah.
Harper was the guy to do that. First off,
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know he's going to homer in this situation because he always homers when it matters
Yeah.
in a big spot. If he didn't homer in game one, he was definitely going to homer in game two.
For
Like,
sure.
that's who he is, and that's what he does. And of course, he was the guy who came and slid on his knees into the dugout because he gets it.
He does get it. Yeah. He does get it. And he is, I think, in this moment, chiefly concerned with growing the game. I think it has
One
way, which
thousand percent.
which is the point of the series anyway. But we talk about he gets it, like that's what he gets. It's not put
Well,
on a
so
show as
I
much
want to
as
take
it's grow the game. Go
a
ahead.
quick detour regarding this because he
Yeah.
also said while he was there that he thinks Major League Baseball needs to take an Olympic break like the NHL does with hockey in the
Yes, he
Olympics,
did.
right? And he thinks that Major League Baseball needs to send big leaguers to the Olympics in 2020. I think he's spot on. They absolutely
Spot
need
on.
to,
Yeah.
because here's the thing is Major League Baseball, because they don't take a break, is going up against the Olympics,
They're gonna
right?
lose. They're gonna lose that broadcast game every day, or
Most
the
likely.
viewership game.
They
Yeah.
most likely. Yeah, they most likely will. And one thing that Dan Patrick talks about is that the stories on the Olympics are not for you and I, not for the sports fan. They're for the casual sports fans.
For sure.
And if you get the casual sports fan learning about Bryce Harper and his path to the major leagues that started as a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, whatever,
Sports
however old he
Illustrated,
was,
the whole thing.
and people see that, like, wow, this guy who was on Sports Illustrated went and played college baseball because his agent felt like he needed more competition to show that he was capable, got drafted at 17, 18, and then was brought up to the big leagues at 19. Right? Like, people learn about that. They learn about his story. They learn about stories of the Dominicans, the Japanese players, learn about, because the Japanese players are going to be sending professionals.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
But if Major League Baseball can get their top talent into the Olympics and get people seeing more about who they are and learning more about them, learning about Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge plays in the biggest market in Major League Baseball. And how many people could not pick him out of a crowd? Because they just don't know.
Here's the other thing. Let's not forget that Major League Baseball has an international group of athletes. And those players are also going to want to go and represent their home country or their country of ancestry if the opportunity presented itself. Mm-hmm. So let's say Major League Baseball says, we're going to keep the season. We're going to keep it going. We're not going to halt gameplay. We're not going to slow gameplay. We're not going to take a short season. We're not doing any of that. How many guys will have the provisional opportunity to go and represent their home country? That's another thing I want to ask.
Well, you can't, because if you're on a 40-man roster, you can't.
Right. So you got your 40-man roster, and then everybody below you bails to go play for Venezuela or whatever. And then what happens when a 40-man goes down? Someone on the 40-man.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the season. For however long, because those guys are gone.
And I think part of it, though, is that's going to go into it is I think teams are going to be like, no, you're like our 41st man, you can't go, right? Like, I think that's part of it.
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Or they just say, this guy is available. But Todd Frazier talked on Foul Territory. He's like, I had just gotten released. So I was available. I went and played.
Yep.
He's like, it was awesome. The problem was there was no eyeballs on it.
You're right.
But if you had big, and I think he even said if you had full on big leaguers on, like, there would be eyeballs on it for sure.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely right. We'll get into that more later, Brad. I got more to say on that.
I'm sorry. I figured while we were talking about Bryce Harper in London, we'd talk about that.
Perfect. Makes perfect sense, because he is campaigning hard. He's let's say Brother Harper has his shoulder to the wheel, you might say.
He does.
New York, the Mets won Game 2 of the London series, also a 6-5 explosion of offense, and it basically.
Well, and a lot of it was the last inning. It was crazy.
I know. It was awesome. It was literally an explosion all the way at the end. So now we're going to play a clip for you of one of the craziest endings that you'll ever see in any baseball game, but it happened to be on a, what are we going to call it? Marketing tour, a branding tour, some kind of
world tour.
That's
what they call it.
Barnstorming tour. I don't care what they call it. What are we calling it?
Marketing
anyway,
tour.
The point is, play the clip, Brad. Show the clip.
So you got Nick Castellanos up to the plate. Bases are loaded, 1 out. His bat explodes. Luis Torrens gets it, steps on the plate, and then throws to first. Okay, so there are a lot of things going on here, Brig. I watched this and could not believe how this actually went down. So look at Torrens here. So he steps on home plate, rolls his ankle, and then makes a perfect throw. To Pete Alonso at first base.
Well, and he got rolled over at home plate.
Well, his ankle rolled because there's no support and your foot can slip on the plate. But so this is the thing. I was looking at this. Like, as that happened, as that bat exploded and the ball just dribbled out in front of home plate, I was like, this is like a Disney movie about the Mets.
Yeah.
Like, that's how a Disney movie about the Mets would end right there.
That's exactly.
Nick Castellanos'
exactly
bat
right.
doesn't break. It explodes into like 5 pieces. And a little dribbler. And then, of course, Luis Torrens, who I believe was in the Yankees minor league system earlier this year.
Yeah, but a nothing.
Has been
like a nobody.
Last year and a half, up and down with the Mariners a ton.
Yeah.
But he comes in and he makes a perfect play to field that ball, has the wherewithal to touch home
Tons,
plate to get the out. But
tons of
then
baseball IQ.
it's just the craziest thing though, is that then his foot slips as his ankle rolls and he's looking up at the sky.
Yeah.
And as he went to throw it, I was like, that ball is going to right field. There is no way that's going anywhere but right field.
Right.
And the fact that it was even low and not up high for Pete Alonso to catch, what an amazing play. I
It
loved it
really
so
was.
much. I was cheering for the Phillies the whole way too, because I wanted the Phillies to sweep the thing and I wanted to see a comeback. But man, the fact that he made that play, I was just ecstatic. I was running around my house. I was like, they did it. Holy cow. How'd they do it,
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was such a great play to end the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it is storybook, right? That's iconic storybook type
Oh,
scenario.
yeah. Yeah,
That's just
because
insane.
doesn't that happen on Rookie of the Year? Isn't that what happens? Is that
Yeah.
Potato strikes out. I think it's
Yeah.
Angels in the outfield, the guy's bat
Potato.
shatters.
Yeah, the bat shatters. It's not potato, it's Hato.
I swear he calls him potato.
Listen, if you're gonna talk about the greatest baseball documentary of all time, I expect you to have your facts straight, okay?
I swear he calls it potato. And I think that's in my head because I remember watching that movie and I was like 9.
Yeah.
And one of my friends shouted potato. I was like, what the heck are you talking about? And he's like, that's what he says. And so he must say, hey, it's Hato.
Yeah.
But I've always heard potato.
Potato. Yeah. That's really freaking funny, man.
So now it's
Oh,
potato.
man. All right. We're going to bring it back down, baseball family. Baseball betting investigation updates coming at you. We waited a little while to talk about this because we wanted to make sure all the facts got straightened and that there wasn't a bunch of smoke in
We
the
didn't even
way
have
of...
names besides one guy when I recorded last week.
Right. So, but here we go. We've got more information. So, first things first, let's make it very clear. As of right now, Shohei Ohtani has been absolved of any wrongdoing. He is officially a victim of fraud. All the investigative efforts have sealed this as fraud. He's the victim. He did nothing wrong. MLB, federal investigation, nothing. No evidence of his having done any wrong.
Right.
So get it
And
straight.
unfortunately, there are still people saying that he paid off Mizuhara. I don't think he did. I didn't think he did from the beginning.
Me neither.
There were too many feds involved for there to be a payoff somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And yeah, I just think until further notice, which might not be for 20 years, I'm putting this to bed. This is what we thought was going on. So here we are.
Yep.
Okay. Now, let's get to the other meat of the situation. David Fletcher is still under investigation. We don't have a ton of information about that yet, but it is forthcoming, and we will keep you updated. There has been one lifetime banned. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Marcano.
Tucupita Marcano.
Tucupita Marcano, who was on the injured list for the Padres. He did bet on Pirates games when he was with the team, with the Pirates, but he was on the injured list and receiving treatment with the big club. The problem is he was a degenerate gambler. Is that okay to say degenerate? I don't know if that's...
I don't know that he was a degenerate gambler. Like
That's a
Mizuhara
pretty
was a
tough
degenerate
term.
gambler.
Yeah.
I would say that Marcano is just a bad gambler.
Bad gambler, just real bad luck or whatever. So he only won 4.3% of his bets ever.
And he placed like 20 or 30 some odd bets on the Pirates when he was with the
Yeah.
team. So you'd think
Yeah.
he'd be like, yeah, I know what's going on. I know they're not going to win today because so-and-so's pitching. So-and-so's got a little bit of a limp. And that's the problem, right? Like, that's why you can't do it.
That's why you
It's
can't
like
do
insider trading, but insider betting. But apparently, if you don't know how to use that information,
it.
it doesn't help you any.
Well, and not only
And
that,
so
but
then
you get a ban from baseball for the rest of your
exactly,
life.
you lose a bunch of money because he bet a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And then you're banned from baseball for life, and you can never make that money back.
So
And
all of
think
you,
about this. Think about this,
go
though,
ahead.
Brig. I've known of several minor leaguers who have gone on to have careers after baseball where they coach baseball, right? And it's not just like coaching like Little League. They have
No.
training facilities where they set up, they teach kids how to pitch, how to hit, how to
Yeah.
field, right? Just how to play baseball. They become baseball teachers. I don't think Marcano can even become a baseball teacher because he has the black ball and the stink of being banned from baseball for life for gambling. So like he's got to go find a whole other career. He's got to go find something to figure out something else that he can do that doesn't involve baseball. I feel
Yeah,
like that's like to me that's a significant problem for somebody as young as him who did not make generational money to set himself up for the rest of his life or even
yeah,
for like 15, 20 years.
yeah.
So that's one of the bigger things. I was like, man, this dude's like big time screwed after this whole thing. So
Uh, yeah. Blind Pew gave him the black spot. Basically, that's what I was thinking. You said he's got a black spot or a black
blind
ball
pew,
or whatever. He's a
blind
blind
pew.
Pew. Baseball family, if you caught that reference, jump it in the thing. Tell us. All right, there have also been multiple 1-year suspensions related to gambling. The A's, Michael Kelly, San Diego's J.J. Groom,
Sorry, that's just
Arizona's.
Jay. That's just Jay Groom.
It's J.J.
Is it? It's JJ now.
Yeah, it's J.J. Groom. And we'll bring it up in a year. Maybe he's changed his name by then. Arizona's Andrew Saalfrank and Philly's Jose Rodriguez. They've all received 1-year bans because they bet on baseball while they were in the minors, but they all wagered less than $1,000. Brad, what's your opinion on this? This 1-year versus lifetime ban ruling?
It's a slap on the wrist. Like they're all pretty lucky, right? And
Yeah,
I don't know that it's necessarily the amount that they wagered because it's all that less than $1,000 for these guys is like it's just dabbling, right? But they're pretty lucky that they were in the minors and they were when they got caught.
yeah.
Because could you imagine if they had got called up and they were still betting on games? Like say they spend 10 days in the show because somebody's on the IL and they're continuing to make bets.
Wouldn't matter.
Yeah, they'd be done. They'd be done forever. So these
Be
guys are
over.
pretty lucky to just get a 1 year. And you know what? If I'm the A's, Padres, Diamondbacks, and Phillies, or anybody whoever else's system they end up in, come spring training, you know what I'm doing? You're going to help with the presentation about gambling. Let
Oh, yeah.
everybody know
You're teaching the class.
about
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the about the dangers that
yeah,
just even dabbling and dipping your toes in it. What can
yeah.
happen? Let's try to scare everybody straight and keep everybody else from doing it too.
And keep you scared.
Yes, I think they're sufficiently scared.
Mm-hmm.
At least these four, if not everybody else. But you know what though? It's interesting to talk about like guys being so scared. Again on foul territory, they were talking about Cattell Marte about how he said that he didn't know how PEDs ended up in his system.
Mm.
And Todd Frazier was like, I was so scared. He's like, if somebody wanted to give me green tea that I didn't watch them make, basically, it's like, I was like, no, I don't know what's in that. I'm
Right.
not. He's like, I'm not putting anything in my body that I don't know what it is. And so
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like it's the
interesting.
same thing. Like, I wouldn't, if I was them, I would just stop gambling altogether. I'd be done
Oh yeah, no.
until I was done playing.
Avoid the very appearance of evil or whatever.
Yeah, for
Do
sure.
you think they should have received a lifetime ban?
I mean, it would have made sense if they did. I think because the minor league players have a different union,
Hmm.
that's why they didn't. Right, the rules are different for them. That it's not affecting the outcome of any major league games potentially. Right,
That's
even
true.
Marcano, who wasn't on the active roster, obviously couldn't affect any games. But
Hmm.
I think because it's almost more adjacent than it is direct, like a Marcano, right? Because he was in the clubhouse and he's betting on the
Yeah, yeah,
Pirates
he was. Yeah,
on top of a bunch of other games.
yeah.
But I think a year makes sense for minor
Okay.
leaguers if you're in the minor leagues when you're doing it because you're not having any effect on the big money games.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean, do you think a year makes sense, or should they have gotten lifetime bans?
I like a year for this situation. Had the gambling been a higher dollar amount, which is why I think they specified it, maybe we could have gone a different direction.
Mm.
But I think, yeah, I think. But then the issue I have now is how short a leash and how do you keep that leash short? How do you monitor? And you know,
So I read the article when it came out, and they said that the gambling apps let Major League Baseball know in March. They started investigating, started tracking things, and keeping an eye on these guys to see what was going on, and then they continued to catch them. So
here's the thing, though: if you want to get away with it, you're going to get away with it. You'll find a way, right? And eventually, it'll come back to get you.
Pete Rose got away with it for how many years?
100
before anybody found out. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, be careful, guys. And if you're a kid and you're listening at home, don't bet on baseball, no matter what. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. Okay. This I'm excited to talk about. Okay. The Athletic, every year, about mid-season, does a poll where they grab 100 players and they ask them questions. It's kind of like, Family Feud. Like, we surveyed 100 people in a mall across America or whatever, right? It's the same idea. They take 100 major league players. They have to be active players. And they ask them questions. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, we have to tell you that these are not complete. Not every player opted to answer every question. Okay? So, because of that, the percentages and the votes don't always equal 100. And as such, it is not a 100% bulletproof analysis or insight into what Major League Baseball players are thinking and feeling. That being said, it is a terrific temperature gauge. It's a really good signpost. So we're just going to piggyback off the Athletic. They do terrific work, by the way, and we're not getting paid to say this, but if you have a chance to subscribe to the Athletic, you should. It's the best sports reporting you can ever get, honestly. Okay.
They basically took the All-Stars from everywhere and put them on one roster. That's what the
of writers.
Is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all-star sports writers, and they're on one spot.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to go off of the images, and if we miss something from the images, we'll go back to the list I made. Okay.
Okay.
So, players were polled and asked which organizations have bad reputations. Multiple answers were allowed, but ultimately, 79 players voted on this and put teams on their ballot. The A's received 40 total votes. The White Sox received 19, the Angels 10, Rockies 10, Mets 8, rounding out the top 5. Now, a lot of guys said that the A's has a lot to do with relocation, but ultimately every one of these comes down to the owner being the issue.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Obviously, the A's is relocation. The owner, the A's are a mess right now for a lot of reasons, and they will continue to be a mess for probably the next decade until things will really land and settle down.
I agree.
The White Sox, I wonder if that has to do with things going on with the manager right now. I don't think the players really like him that much. Most people don't, right?
Yeah.
So there's some dysfunction there. The Angels, again, owner, Artie Moreno is a meddler.
Big time.
It's got to be Artie Moreno. Big time.
Yeah.
The Rockies actually surprised me.
Really?
A lot. Because despite the fact that they just cannot put it together, cannot win, right? Like they went out and they paid for a free agent in Chris Bryant a couple years ago. Hasn't worked out. But that's the risk you're taking with every free agent, right?
For sure.
That the problem that I've always thought that the Rockies had was just the altitude. You can't attract top arms.
Pitching.
You're not going to get the best pitchers in the league because of the altitude. But they're still not getting the best bats. Like, who wouldn't want to go play 81 games in Colorado and hit bombs all year, right? You would think, but they still don't.
You'd have to be ultra. It seems to me, I shouldn't say you'd have to be. It seems to me that the perfect combination of a slugger wanting to end up in Colorado is interested in their own statistics more than anything else and not afraid to lose every
games
every day. Yeah. And not interested in championships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That it seems to me that would be the profile of the perfect slugger for Colorado.
Right. Yeah.
For right now. It's not always been that way. Hopefully it won't always be that way. But in this current situation, I think that's who the best.
They're sure as heck not going to fire you because Bud Black's been there for 20 years?
Yeah, 100,000. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. That blows my mind. But I guess when management knows he's not the problem, they're not going to fire him.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
All right. Let's move on to the best player in baseball. Who's the best player in baseball? Shohei Ohtani, 46% of the
absolutely.
votes. No big deal. It's 202 votes, so he got more than one opportunity. Ronald Acuna Jr., a distant 26.5%. And then Mookie Betts, Aaron Judge, and Mike Trout rounding out the top 5 in the poll. Mike Trout receiving 3.9% of the votes out of
I bet you
200.
those 3.9% were in the top 2% of age. They were the
What do you
most
mean?
veteran players. They were the most
Yeah.
veteran players. And
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah,
Trout's
yeah.
been around forever. He's still the best player in the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh,
like, he's
absolutely
pretty
sure.
dang good when he's playing, right? Like, he was really good at the beginning of the season. But as they say, the best ability is availability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's
Exactly.
not available.
Correctamundo. Let's move on to analytics. Players were asked, has analytics helped your career, or hurt your career, or made no difference at all? 76%, 92 votes collected, 76% said it helped. 10% said it no different. It's interesting. It's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting. Is that a surprise to you at all?
I don't want to say it's a surprise. I don't know, because I feel like there would be some guys who say no difference, right? I think I'm surprised that it's 10.8% said that it's no difference. And it's like, are you using it right? Do you know how to decipher the numbers? Do you know how to figure it out? Like,
Do you think you're better than the numbers, and so the
do
numbers are
you think the
lying to
numbers are
you?
wrong? Yeah, do you think the numbers are
Yeah,
wrong?
yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
Uh-huh. Well, and then the 8.6 that said it both helped and hurt is really interesting. And I could see that, being like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's helped really helped me in one way, but it's got me overthinking in another area, so it's hurt then. And then 3.2% said it hurt.
I can
And
see that too.
those and there are guys who don't want to know what pitch is coming,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
So, like, I was watching Johnny Gomes the other day, and he was talking about that, and he's like there are some guys who go up to the plate. You'll tell him that on a 3-1 pitch, 100% of the time he throws a changeup. Or no, it was after a slider, 100% of the time he throws a changeup. And the guy's like, "Don't tell me that. I don't want to know
I
that."
don't want to get in
It's
my
like
head. Yeah.
he just threw you a slider. You know it's going to be a changeup. You don't want to know that? It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, I don't want that. So,
Superstitious baseball players are my favorite. All right, let's do this. This is a no-brainer softball question. Have you ever seen or heard of a player being put on the injured list when they were not injured enough to merit it? Yes, 64%. I can't believe out of the 84 votes, 35.7% of them said no. That 35%, let me tell you, that because this happened in the Army all the time. We'd do a command climate survey, and they'd want you to be as honest and as transparent as possible. And 37% of us would be like, I am not going to tell them the truth. There's no way. It'll
right.
get back to me. They're
It's like
going to
those,
know.
yeah. I mean, you get the employee engagement surveys every year. It's
Yeah,
like, I'm
it's the
not doing
same
that.
thing. Yeah, I'm not telling you the truth.
You don't want to know what I think
You
because you'll
no.
figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what that because the yes, the 64% yes could have been 90. And the ones that weren't there just haven't figured it out yet. They're too young.
Yeah, yeah. Of the 35%, 10% just hasn't been in the league long enough. The other 24% are just like, or 25% is just like, yeah, no, that's never happened. I don't want this
Uh,
getting back to me or my team. So,
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I am talking to a journalist? Yeah, no, never.
this is not anonymous. Not really.
All right. Who is the most overrated player in baseball? This was fascinating. Right now, we've got Jazz Chisholm Jr. leading the way, 20.3%. Now, before we go any further, Brad, let me just explain that reading up on this, it was interesting. Most of the players surveyed out of the 100 said, I don't want to have anything to do with this question. We're all here. We're all in the bigs. Who am I to say they're over or underrated? I'm not going to knock a guy's game. Respect. I like it. But 59 people said, oh, I got an opinion. Let me tell you exactly how I feel. Jazz Chisholm
Yeah.
Jr., overrated. Anthony Rendon, overrated. Why that's a surprise, I don't know. Carlos Correa, that dude's overrated. Tim Anderson, Jack Flaherty, Pete Alonso, Cody Bellinger, Alex Bregman, Ellie De La Cruz, Manny Machado, Blake Snell.
Okay,
Oh,
so
now there's some names on that list that I'm like, what?
So hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow. So it's what, three? Is that 3.9% on those last several,
Yeah.
or 3.3%?
It's 3.3. Yeah, 3.3 on Pete Alonso, Cody Bellinger,
They
and
all
Alex
got
Bregman.
2 votes. Though from Pete Alonso down, all got 2 votes.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That is so funny. I can't believe anybody would say that Ellie De La Cruz is overrated. Those had to have been 2 pitchers. 2 pitchers like, I'm not a pitch to Ellie. That dude's
Yeah,
overrated.
yeah. Or the one catcher that can't throw him out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
like,
did you? Speaking of that, did you see the pickoff attempt when they tried to pick him off at first the other day, but he'd already had a lead, and he was like,
oh, and he
"Whatever,"
just took
and
off.
then
Yeah.
he just took off. He stole second base successfully anyway. He beat the throw.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Is that pitcher? Is that pitcher
That's the
and that
guy.
first baseman?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, but let's go down the list. You think Jazz Chisholm Jr. is overrated? Yes or no?
This is the thing about Jazz, is he's good, but he's not as, or has not been as good as he's been marketed.
I think
Right?
he got hurt, and it hasn't been the same since.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't
That's
think
right.
he's been fully healthy. If you get him fully healthy, he's going to be really good. But
I
the
don't know.
marketing has stuck because he's very marketable.
Yeah.
He's got a great
Oh, yeah.
personality, super
For
flashy,
sure.
and he's willing to do it. So they're going to market him, which is fine, which is
Yeah, I
good for the
love that
game.
for
He
him.
just needs to get healthy and be better.
Yeah.
That's
Yep. Yep.
that's the only thing there. I'm shocked that only 10% of the voters said Anthony Rendon, or maybe they're just like, everybody's over him, so he's not overrated.
Right, because nobody
Properly
cares anymore.
overrated is a guy who doesn't play.
Yeah.
You
He's
know?
overrated. Is he still on the 40 man? Yeah, he's overrated. I don't care how injured he is. Option that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. The next question is, which team would you sign with if contracts, state taxes, rosters, etc. were not a factor? Which teams would you sign with? The Braves pulled way out in front with 12.7% of the votes, 86 votes total. Next up was the Boston Red Sox, and then the Dodgers, the Rangers, and the Yankees. Then the Yankees and the Cubs tied 6.9% of those votes. Fascinating.
How many votes did the Mariners get? I can't see that. I see they're down with the Rays, the Giants.
Yeah, the Mariners ended up with 2.3% of the votes. Do the math on 86. That's got to be
86?
one vote.
Probably.
Yeah,
What was it?
2.6%?
2.3
Yeah.
out of 86 votes.
Yeah.
It's 2.
Yeah. Wow.
It's probably Mitch Haniger was probably one of them because he loves Seattle. He said that he always said that he was going to, he's been saying he was planning on coming back to Seattle after his contract is up in San Francisco.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so Mitch Haniger was probably one of them, and then I don't know, maybe Carlos Santana. He loved Seattle, but
there you go. If they were,
but it's interesting that the Rays, Mariners, and Giants and the Mets are all down in the same spot,
right?
With
I don't think
votes.
I don't think it's difficult to make sense of that, but
well, so I feel like the Giants and the Mariners, it's similar environments.
Yeah,
right on the water, you're going to get a marine layer. It's going to knock the ball down, so it's harder for hitters, but really good for pitchers.
Yeah, but they don't want to spend, right? The team would sign with contracts, state taxes, and rosters were not a factor. So that leads me to believe that there's a heavy financial question happening and implications to the question. So,
well, they're saying that
part of it.
Yeah, contracts are not an issue though. Like if it's just a place that you would put on your wish list if your money was the same across the board, you would put only 2 guys are saying they would put Seattle on their wish list.
No, that's what I mean. But then you've got these franchises. Are they going to help build a team around you? That's another thing that I don't think they're doing. Right? Even in Seattle, they're just building their farm system, and it's working. It's been working, but they're not going to bring in a big bat or a big arm at the break.
Yeah, well, they might try. They've got a ton of capital. You've got a ton of capital to be able to do it.
Historically, they've not been doing that.
No, because this is another conversation for another day. But they've just got too much in the. I don't know. I think they've been holding on too tight to some guys in the minor league system, which I get because I'm terrified of losing some of those guys. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I think. Let's move on to this question. It's interesting. Are you in favor or opposed to MLB adopting a salary cap and floor system as used in other major sports? 71.6% of the 74 votes collected said they were opposed.
Wow.
That surprised me.
Because they all think of the cap.
Yeah. They don't think of the
Baseball
floor.
basically has a salary cap. Spoilers.
Yeah, it's very similar to what a salary cap
It's
is
it's
trying to
not a
do.
hard cap by any stretch of the imagination,
No, no.
but there are luxury taxes which come with a salary cap. So, hello.
You know, if I was to guess as to why this vote stacked up this way, I would say that they're seeing these big money contracts and they're saying they want one, and that's the only reason they're saying no. They're not really thinking about the
Well, yeah,
sport
because
as a whole.
those go away. Those go away with the salary cap because
Yeah,
I think there's more to it. I think with the salary cap because then you've got to have max contracts,
yeah,
right? And I think that's what I think you're right. I think that's what it is they're like, well, with a cap comes a max contract. I want more than what a max contract would be, so no.
yeah.
But I am surprised that only 14%, 14.8% said floor, no cap, because
Mm-hmm.
a floor makes things more competitive because you've got teams like the A's and the Rays who are required to pay a certain amount.
Yeah.
Because in
Yeah,
the
you.
NBA when they did their floor, if you didn't reach the floor, the difference was dispersed among the players. Because the Blazers had to do it a few years ago. Yeah, they didn't meet
That's
the floor, so they had to
sweet.
pay like I want to say they had to pay like $7 million among the players. And they had a bunch of young guys who were like, dude, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, look.
It's making more money today than I made all year.
Evaluate this statement. Anthony Rendon was right. The season is too long.
I love that they called him out.
They framed it that way. It's so funny. I couldn't. I had to bring that up. It's too good. 31% of players, 98 votes collected. 31% said yes, it's too long. 68.3 said no, not. Duh. This makes sense. I don't think we really need to analyze this too much.
No, 162 games is a lot of games.
It's a lot of games, but everybody
I
says
love it though.
most of these guys
I'm
think it's
angry
fine.
for I'm angry for 160 of them, but
Yeah.
I still love all 162.
Yeah. Okay. Putting their stats aside, solely going on vibes, who do you most want on your team? And you cannot be friends with them and you cannot know them well.
Interesting.
Mookie Betts got double Shohei Ohtani's votes, and they're the
Oh
top
yeah,
two.
that dude should have been like nine. What is he like 50 something percent?
It's
Or
12.6.
oh, I cannot see it at all on
It's
my
okay.
screen. So
95 votes, 12.6% Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani 6.3. Then we've got Ronald Acuna Jr., Brother Harper, Aaron Judge, and Kyle Schwarber bringing in 4.2% each. 3.1% is split four ways. Mike Trout, Lance Lynn, Marcus Simeon, Willie Adames. And then we've got a bunch of guys dropping at 2.1, including Altuve, Arcia, Garrett Cole, and Kike Hernandez.
I thought Kike Hernandez would have been higher.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
He seems like the current version of Derek Dietrich, because
Oh,
Dietrich was like the party. Was like the party animal on the roster with the Reds a few years ago. I think it was
yeah,
2020, right?
yeah,
Like he was the one who brought the weights into the dugout and everything. He's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'll get a party pump. That feels like Kike Hernandez. I would want to play with that guy.
yeah, for sure.
But who wouldn't want to play with Mookie Betts?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Now, if they had given multiple votes per, of the 95 got to pick more than one, I think his number would have gone up. But by averages, it would have been the same. Okay, last question, and then we'll move on. Should Major League Baseball shut down midseason so players can participate in the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles? Brad, 46% of voters, 90 votes, 46% said yes, 53% said no.
it'll never happen now.
Nope, it won't. Not if that many people don't want it to happen.
Yep. And granted, so I did the math on it real quick. 26-man roster, right, for every team.
Yep.
100 players. Sorry, I deleted that number before I could take a look at it. 100 players. out of the 780 is about 13%. So it's still, like you said, a really small sample size of the whole league.
Yeah.
But if Major League Baseball is like, that's a good enough sample size, we're not going to do it because the players don't want to do it.
It's never going to happen.
And I wonder how many of those guys said no, also said the season is too long, because they're like, I'm ready to go on vacation August or October 5th. Right? Give me a couple days to clear out my locker, get home, unpack, and then I'm ready to go to Cancun for the week or the month.
Maybe.
Because the season's over. I don't want to lengthen the season because of Olympics or anything like that. I wonder how many of those guys are the same.
Well, the double headers will beat you up. That's interesting.
Yeah.
If you're trying to jam it in. Okay. Baseball family. Today in baseball history, June 10th, 1990, Nolan Ryan struck out 14 as he pitched his 6th career no-hitter. It was a 5-0-1 win over the Oakland A's. He is the first pitcher to pitch a no-hitter for 3 different teams and the first to throw a no-hitter in 3 different decades. And with that, baseball family, we'll take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and get into our emoji tiers at the beginning of June.
Welcome back, baseball family. We're going to get into our emoji tiers for the month of June. We were going to do it last. Typically, we do it last week, but Brig was at Shul, the old Shul house. So we bumped it to this week. So it's a little bit different, and there's going to be a little bit smaller window between this one and next, but that's okay because we're flexible. That's how we do things. So we're going to get into emoji tiers right now. And with that, Brig, why don't you lead us off?
I shall.
The diamond tier.
The diamond tier. It's pretty simple. The diamond tier consists of the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Phillies, and that is in no particular order, sir. I mean, other than Anthony Rizzo being, offensively meaningless at this point, the Yankees are just plain old dominant. There's not a lot you need to say about it.
They are. So I've been wanting to talk to you about this, Brig. This weekend they didn't have Juan Soto. Do you think
they did not.
The absence was that significant against the Dodgers, or was it just a bad weekend to play the Dodgers?
It was significant. Next question.
Okay. All right. Because I do think his value went up this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Seeing the way things
went. It totally did. Well, while we're speaking of, do we have it up?
Oh yeah.
While we're speaking of the Yankees, let's talk about this.
We have
homer.
That Trent Grisham home run.
So here's the deal, and we'll push play on this in a minute. Here's the deal, though. We have runners on first and third. So Juan Soto's spot comes up, but he's out, right? So they got Trent Grisham in there, and the fan base begins chanting for Soto. We want Soto. Roll the clip, Brad. And here's what he does. Big spot. The Yankees are down. And 3-run bomb. No doubt. Right fielder didn't even turn. Or all he did was turn. He was like, whatever. It's going out. 1 run scores. Alex Verdugo. Aaron Judge comes around to score from first. Grisham all the way around. Bada bing. Dude's happy as a camper. But they were chanting for Juan Soto, and he was like, I'll cash that check. And he did. And it's so fabulous. So I love it. So do I think that his trade stock or his value went up? Yeah, I do. But there are guys behind him who can manage. And so, good to go.
Yeah. I
still think without him, we're good.
Yes, you can manage without him, but I think with him, the Yankees are next level.
Yeah,
absolutely
100%.
So
100%.
My diamond tier, Brig.
Yeah.
It didn't change because it's the same. Dodgers, Yankees, Phillies, in no particular order. Yeah, and I know there's been a lot. The Phillies have caught a lot of strays because they haven't really played anybody so far. But the thing is that they've been winning those games. Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to. The Phillies are beating the teams they're supposed to and getting off to a massive lead in the NL East. They are 45-20. That is good enough for the second best record in all of baseball, by the by.
Yep.
They're up 9 games on the Braves, 23 games up on the Miami Marlins. Like, come on now.
Now, did you know that the Phillies lost their 20th game on Sunday, and their 20th loss last year came May 14th?
Yeah, they weren't good to start the season last year.
So, bada bing. I know I
This
said that
team's on a
twice now.
mission.
Yeah,
This Phillies
yeah, they
team is
are.
on a mission. So
Yeah, and they're killing it. They're doing great.
they are. They are. And I think the Dodgers are not winning as much as we thought they would. Like they got
Yeah.
swept by the Reds a couple weeks ago. Like what?
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Like it's weird. They're one of those teams that plays to their competition because they took it to the Yankees this weekend, but then they
Yep.
couldn't play to the level of the Reds, who were not playing well at the time, playing well now. I don't know. It's weird,
Yeah,
but I still think the
Yamamoto,
Dodgers are who they are.
81 strikeouts in 71 innings.
Pretty good.
That's pretty good.
All right, show us your heart tier.
Here we go. We're going to get controversial. Okay, so my heart tier, I've got the Royals, Orioles, the Mariners, Cleveland's Baseball Club, the Brewers, the Twins, the Reds, and the Padres. Now, come at me a little bit if you want to, but the Orioles make a ton of sense here, let's be honest. Mariners make a ton of sense here. But where I might catch some heat is who you don't see, and you know, it'll happen. It'll happen, but we'll get into it later. For those of you paying attention, I think the Reds make a lot of sense here. They won a 7-game winning streak. Again, they swept the Dodgers. They're capable. They're young. They're hungry. Fired up. I think unless they sell off a bunch of talent at the break, which would be inadvisable, then I think I'm digging what they're doing.
Well, they're getting not Cattell. They're getting Noelvi Marte back here in about 10 days, about 10 games.
Yeah.
Because he's serving an 80-game suspension for PEDs. He'll be back soon, and he's
will.
a stud. He struggled a little bit last year when he came up, but he's a good player. So just add another really good player to their team, and they'll be fine.
So, and then the reason my Padres are up on this list is because I had to move some other people down farther, so they just got bumped up by association.
I know.
I
have a team like that on my heart too.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with how good I feel about San Diego right now.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
I agree. So my heart tier, I have the Orioles, Reds, Mariners, Cubs, Giants, Cleveland's baseball team, Royals, and Brewers. Royals, I've been up on the Royals all season long.
Oh yeah.
They're so good. They're so close. Like if we could have 5 teams in the Diamond, I feel like they would be in the Diamond. That's how much I like the Royals right now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be up there with the Orioles. The Reds, like you said, figured out coming around. My Mariners, I love that they're winning, but I don't necessarily love how they're doing it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I would say the same thing.
They need to figure out how to score some runs against somebody besides the Angels. The Cubs, I didn't love putting them here just because I don't know entirely. I'm not entirely sure who they are, but they're winning, kind of. But also, if I've got the Reds here, I'm going to have the Cubs here. So
yeah, they're squeaking.
There's that. Along. Same thing with the Giants. The Giants, I didn't want to put them here, but I did because I needed one more team here instead of in the question mark.
Right, exactly.
Cleveland's baseball club continues to win. They're an offensive juggernaut this year.
They are, yeah.
Apparently, Brig, I watched a Trevor May video, and apparently they took off part of their upper deck. So now the wind flows more freely through that stadium.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's why the offense has come around this year.
Trevor May has become an oracle.
Dude he is ripe with information. I love it.
He does not care. He will tell you.
Yep.
I love that. I 100%. Love that.
So that is my heart tier. Tell us about your question marks.
Here's the one. This is where the Braves belong right now. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. They are just on their way down. I don't know who they're supposed to be anymore. I don't know who they're trying to be anymore. I am absolutely flabbergasted. They just keep losing, and it's monumental. It really is. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm so confused, I got to put them in my question mark. Rays, Astros, Blue Jays, Tigers, Giants, Rangers. But I've got Oakland up this high, and I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to apologize. Okay, I'm still confused. about them. I still don't know what role they're going to continue to play. And until I think they're going to stay in my question mark tier until we get to the trade deadline, and then we'll know more. But
Okay.
then they'll slide down where they belong, probably at that point. Although I might keep them up this high, or I could totally see myself bumping them into the heart tier if they give the guys they ought to give away to teams that need them. I'd be like, yeah, you can have a heart tier.
Just throw them a bone.
just because I love you.
Well,
for
just because
giving away.
there's not 8 teams that belong in the heart tier.
There are not. There are
That's
not.
the
It
thing
was
that's
really
hard about
hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really hard. But
We're
I
gonna
will
start
say
breaking the rules early this year.
Langoliers is awesome. And
He's
Mason
good.
Miller's awesome. And Rooker's awesome. And we're, it's good. It's good.
Yep. I know. I like the A's, but I actually watched 3 full games against the A's last week because the Mariners were playing them. I was like,
Yeah.
I see it. I see the problems.
Yeah, they're there. That's fine.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the Rangers being under 500
Sorry,
really quick, because that sucks. Tigers are under 500, but I think they're going to turn it around a little bit more. But right now, I don't know what to do with them. So, and then the Astros, it's like, what? They're under 500 and 5.5 games out? I don't know. I still think they'll figure it out, but I'm not settled if I'm an Astros fan.
Yeah, the Astros are weird. That's why they are also in my question mark tier.
Oh, yeah.
So I have the Twins, also the Braves, the Rangers, the Red Sox, the Pirates. I'll get there in a minute. The Astros, Cardinals, and Padres. So I have the Padres here where they belong.
Yeah, they do.
But so I want to talk about the Pirates for just a minute.
Yeah.
So the Pirates are 31 and 34. Okay,
Yeah.
They're doing a lot better than a lot of teams.
Better than they should.
And we've talked to. I'm sounding like a broken record, Brig. If they can figure out their bullpen, if their bullpen could just like keep a couple of guys from crossing the plate, they'll be fine. Right? Like if they could cut their runs allowed down by like a third, this team would start winning more. They're third, like I said, 3 games below 500, 7 games out of the division, but only a half a game back in the wild card right now.
Yeah.
There's crazy. A lot of baseball left. There's 2/3 of the season left, and they're only half a game back. Come on now. We still have the June drop off that we could hit, but they're 6-4 in the last 10.
Yeah, they are.
So, go Pirates.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Astros for just a minute. The Astros are also 6-4 in their last 10. They lost on Sunday to this. This is crazy, man. So they played the Angels, and there's this walk-off by Logan O'Hoppe with Hader on the mound. It goes back, and Cabbage is going back to the wall. He has it. But then he doesn't have it. And then look at this. This kid, the kid has it with the ball. And now you've got Kevin Pillar is not sure, or not Pillar. AJ Pollock isn't sure what to do, and the base coach is like telling O'Hoppe like, "Don't go yet because you don't want to pass him because if you pass him, you're out, and then that game, not a walk off anymore." But I love this kid finding the ball, and everybody just kind of like, "Oh man!" And I feel like initially right here, the fans are kind of like, yeah, you got it. And then it wasn't, they didn't have the realization until like later, like, oh, but that means he hit a home run. That means the game's over, which means we won.
Ha ha. Walk it off.
It was awesome. And then my last thing from this was, I don't want anybody to ever say that baseball players are not athletic and not in outstanding shape, because freaking look at Logan O'Hoppe right here. So the Angels, as part of their celebration, they come and they rip his jersey off. You got Cole Tucker right there. And then look, this dude is a specimen. Holy crap, man. He's jacked.
Yeah.
And that's for a catcher who you think might want a little bit of pudding in the middle to absorb that ball a little bit. But, dude, he is shredded. So, anyway, we're not talking about the Angels, talking about the Astros. The Astros are a little confusing. Their bullpen still hasn't been able to figure out. Their bats are still doing what they've been doing, but it's befuddling, to say the least.
Yeah.
The Braves, everything you said about the Braves, have no idea who the Braves are, what they're doing. Red Sox, I don't know. So the Rangers, it just talk about a World Series hangover. Holy crap.
Jeez, it's really intense.
30. It's funny, though, because they're also 31 and 34.
I know.
But they don't want to win games. It's like the Mariners lose, and then the Rangers are like, that's fine. We'll lose too. we'll lose.
Yeah,
Just
it's okay,
maintain,
buddy.
holding steady 5 games, and it's like the Rangers win and then the Mariners go win. They've been holding steady at 5 games for like a week. It's so weird. No, it's so bizarre.
Amazing.
All right, go with your thumbs down tier.
All right, my thumbs down. Mets, Red Sox, Cardinals, Pirates, Nationals, White Sox, Cubs, D-backs. Now, the pivotal names in here are the Red Sox and the White Sox. Okay. The White Sox are not this good. But you could argue the Red Sox are not necessarily this bad. However, when you about get swept by the White Sox, both of you are going to change positions a little bit. And I'm sorry, I don't know another way to explain it.
That's a perfect way to put it. Yeah.
Thank you. Paul Goldschmidt
like
and Nolan Arenado are the only things going well in St. Louis about right now. And that's bad. And then I think the D-backs have fallen to sleep or something.
World Series loss hangover.
Dude, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they're 31 and 35. There's a lot of baseball left. It's a chance for the wild card still possible, but not with the way the Giants are playing. Nope. And certainly not
And
against the Dodgers.
Well,
yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You got too much competition in the West. I got to get my Cubs here. And it sucks. It sucks. But I'm just so not sold on the Cubs. I feel like they went on a tear a little bit, but when we did this last month, and everything was looking up, and I was pretty like, yeah, okay, cool. And now I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like Cody Bellinger is fine. You know, he's doing fine, but
right,
you got to do a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yeah, the Cubs are bizarre. I really didn't want to put them where I did, but
yeah,
kind of how it shook out. So
this is where the Pirates belong, though, Brad. I hate to tell you, I apologize, but
I don't know, man. I watched a lot of Pirates games this year, and I like what I see from them. To be honest with you,
that's awesome.
Okay, so my thumbs down. I got the Tigers, Blue Jays, Rockies, Mets, Nationals, Rays, A's, and the D-backs. D-backs are the same thing you said. Just it's bizarre what's going on there. They seem to have fallen asleep. Don't know what's happening. The Tigers. So the Tigers feel like they overachieved at the beginning of the season. I thought they were going to be good. I really did. I thought they were going to be good last year. A lot of talent, but Spencer Torkelson has been optioned down to AAA.
Well, it surprised me so much.
So what is he now? I don't know. You know, like not what they thought he was going to be. So, and it might have been because they rushed him. I don't know. But so the Tigers are a mess right now. Skubal could potentially win Cy Young, but
totally
he's got Seth Lugo to compete against too. So
yeah, but did you know they're 10-3 when he pitches and 22-30 when he doesn't?
Makes sense.
That's it. You can't have just one guy. You can't.
Right. Yeah, you can't plan to just win 1 out of every 5 games. That's not going to get you anywhere. So, yeah, and I put the Rockies here because they're bad, but they can like put up a fight. You know, I've seen them come back several times late in the game. They're not just going to roll over. I feel like teams that belong below the thumbs down tier are teams that don't necessarily put up a fight. Like, Grant, I know the Angels put up a fight this weekend, obviously, but a minus 102 run differential though is pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not buying any Rockies tickets right now unless somebody's in town. And then I will for sure.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead with your.
Which is why they're here.
Yeah.
They're in my poop tier. Rockies, White Sox, Marlins. So. Is that your poop tier?
Did you have the White Sox?
Yeah. Hold on. Is that your poop tier?
That's my poop tier.
Yeah. There's mine. Angels, White Sox, Marlins. I was like, wait a minute. So the Angels, honestly, Logan O'Hoppy's training program is probably the best thing going on in Anaheim right now.
Probably.
That's it. I don't care what else anybody has to say.
This is actually my poop. This is actually my poop tier. That other one was yours. You doubled up on something. But anyway, it's fine. This can be your poop tier.
Well, this is where I want the Angels to be anyway. I didn't have them
Yeah.
anywhere else. The White Sox were in my thumbs down. You're right. So what I've got here is the Marlins and the Angels and the Rockies. I guess that would be mine. I don't know what happened. Worked out in the wash.
Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway. It's fine.
So there you go.
So the White Sox are a hot mess. Just top to bottom. They could end up setting some kind of loss record this season because they're that awful. The Angels, like you said, the best thing going on in Anaheim is Logan O'Hoppy's workout program, because it's funny that Ron Washington went so fast from like, yeah, we're going to turn it around to like, we're just going to see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
And I feel so bad for the guy because he did such great things in Atlanta, and a piece of me was like, man, I'd love for him to do well with the Angels, but another piece of me is like, as a division rival, I hope he fails.
Sure.
And maybe he comes and he's third base coach or first base coach for the Mariners, because I like Maniac a lot. But anyway, so yeah, it's a bummer that things are going so poorly for Washington there in Anaheim, and I know that some of it has to do with injuries, because you've got Rendon out infinitely, and you've got Mike Trout out again, and that's you don't know when he's going to be back. And then the Marlins, man, like when you have, and I know we talked about this, but when you have your executive being like, it's not happening when you're like 3 weeks into the season, what motivation do the players have aside from a major league situation?
Right.
Like, I'm not playing for that guy. He doesn't believe in me.
No. Right.
Forget it.
I agree.
Go out there and collect a check.
Yeah. Right. So worry about yourself.
Yep. Exactly right.
That's terrible. I don't want to talk about it like that. It hurts my heart.
Yeah. I wish the Marlins were better, but they're not. So, but baseball family, let us know what you think about our emoji tiers. Share some of your thoughts, feelings, and concerns, and snide remarks, if you please, if you would like to. You can do that in the comments on YouTube. You can also send an email to us, baseballtogetherpod@gmail.com. That will go straight to us, and we will probably read that on the show if it's appropriate. So keep it appropriate, and we'll read it. So,
yeah.
Got that going. But baseball family, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. Like we said, let us know what you think about what we're doing wherever you can. You can comment on any video in the YouTube section. Subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos. We drop everything in bite-sized clips because we know not everybody has an hour plus to sit and watch the full show. So we just make it a little bit more easily consumable for you. And that is where we do that. But baseball family, thank you again for joining us. We will catch you next week.